Friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding, or trying to slide, across each other. For example, when you try to push a book along the floor, friction makes this difficult. Friction always works in the direction opposite to the direction in which the object is moving, or trying to move. Friction always slows a moving object down. The amount of friction depends on the materials from which the two surfaces are made. The rougher the surface, the more friction is produced. Friction also produces heat. If you rub your hands together quickly, you will feel them get warmer. Friction can be a useful force because it prevents our shoes slipping on the pavement when we walk and stops car tires skidding on the road. When you walk, friction is caused between the tread on shoes and the ground. This friction acts to grip the ground and prevent sliding. So, friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding, or trying to slide, across each other. For example, when you try to push a book along the floor, friction makes this difficult. Friction always works in the direction opposite to the direction in which the object is moving or trying to move. Climbing a vertical rock wall means pitting your strength and stamina against the force of gravity, which pulls you down toward the ground. Another force helps you to climb the vertical rock wall by keeping your hands and feet from slipping. That force is friction. 4 types of friction. Friction is the force that opposes motion between any surfaces that are in contact. There are 4 types of friction: static, sliding, rolling, and fluid friction. Static, sliding and rolling friction occur between solid surfaces. Fluid friction occurs in liquids and gases. All 4 types of friction are described below. Static friction. Static friction acts on objects when they are resting on a surface. For example, if you are hiking in the woods, there is static friction between your shoes and the trail each time you put down your foot. See figure below. Without this static friction, your feet would slip out from under you, making it difficult to walk. In fact, that's exactly what happens if you try to walk on ice. That's because ice is very slippery and offers very little friction. Q. Can you think of other examples of static friction? One example is the friction that helps the people climb the rock wall in the opening picture above. Static friction keeps their hands and feet from slipping. Sliding friction. Sliding friction is friction that acts on objects when they are sliding over a surface. Sliding friction is weaker than static friction. That's why it's easier to slide a piece of furniture over the floor after you start it moving than it is to get it moving in the first place. Sliding friction can be useful. For example, you use sliding friction when you write with a pencil. The pencil lead slides easily over the paper, but there's just enough friction between the pencil and paper to leave a mark. Q. How does sliding friction help you ride a bike? There is sliding friction between the brake pads and bike rims each time you use your bike's brakes. This friction slows the rolling wheels, so you can stop. Rolling friction. Rolling friction is friction that acts on objects when they are rolling over a surface. Rolling friction is much weaker than sliding friction or static friction. This explains why most forms of ground transportation use wheels, including bicycles, cars, four-wheelers, roller skates, scooters, and skateboards. Ball bearings are another use of rolling friction. You can see what they look like in the figure below. They let parts of a wheel or other machine roll rather than slide over on another. The ball bearings in this wheel reduce friction between the inner and outer cylinders when they turn. Fluid friction. Fluid friction is friction that acts on objects that are moving through a fluid. A fluid is a substance that can flow and take the shape of its container. Fluids include liquids and gases. If you've ever tried to push your open hand through the water in a tub or pool, then you've experienced fluid friction. You can feel the resistance of the water against your hand. Look at the skydiver in the figure below. He's falling toward Earth with a parachute. The resistance of the air against the parachute slows his descent. The faster or larger a moving object is, the greater is the fluid friction resisting its motion. That's why there is greater air resistance against the parachute than the skydiver's body. Summary. Friction is the force that opposes motion between any surfaces that are in contact. There are 4 types of friction: static, sliding, rolling, and fluid friction. Static, sliding, and rolling friction occurs between solid surfaces. Static friction is strongest, followed by sliding friction, and then rolling friction, which is weakest. Fluid friction occurs in fluids, which are liquids or gases.